Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday morning. We're on here with Spiritual Discoveries, Dan and Angela Clark. And as you can see, we're talking about how to know whether or not you were raised in a toxic household, and then the secrets to rising above it, because that's the most important thing. Because we all need to be validated. We all need to have a sense of belonging. These different things that we have need of. We need to feel loved. And a lot of times when we grew up in these family households that were considered toxic, we didn't get the things that we needed to be rounded, whole people that feel good in life and are able to function properly in life because of it. So it's really important that we know it. And I know that it's important to you that you feel good. And when you don't, and when you feel depressed and you don't even maybe know why, when you're not functioning right in relationships, they keep falling apart and you wonder why. All these questions that you have about why you're not experiencing the same thing that somebody else next door or across the street or at your work is experiencing. And you have no clue, not a clue why everything's not the way that you feel like maybe it really could be. Even as like growing up in dysfunctional religions, for me, it was Worldwide Church of God. For Dan, it was Jehovah's Witnesses. And now both been out for a good long time now. But it's still these little dysfunctional things seem to linger. But you slowly but surely, I feel like by asking God to keep revealing what still needs to be changed and then getting the help. And then it starts to come forward bit by bit what we need. And so don't forget to keep on, praying in your prayers. Show me what's next. Show me what else I need to improve on. You gently and, show me. And it's presented gently and slowly, not all at once, everything. That's too much for us. Right, Dan?
That's right.
It's
That's
too
right.
much.
Yeah, and we got to figure out. Sometimes we don't know why we're angry, right? We're
Right.
angry because we might be projecting some things that our mother had did to us or our ex-wife. I know for me, for a long time, I was married to my second wife, and I projected a lot of stuff from my first marriage onto my second wife. Now, see, I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea why I was angry, why I was mad. And then I finally met a spiritual teacher, and she said, well, you're projecting onto your wife. And I said, well, what does that mean? Well, she said, you're angry with your first wife. You said she destroyed your life and you're pissed off. So, in a certain way, you're projecting that now on your new wife, which is a form of abuse, mental and emotional abuse. And I was like, well, thanks for telling me. Yeah, and she
That was
ended
a
up
big one. That was a big one.
she ended up having me beat this mattress. She goes, I think you should just get mad at your wife and then forgive her. And I was like, well, what do I do? And she said, well, just get mad at her and beat this little mattress that I have down here with this rubber bat. And so I did. And the next thing you know, I sat there and she sat in front of me. She says, are you done? She says, can you forgive her? She was 18 years old. And I was like, yeah, I can forgive her. She made the best decision she could at that age, even though she left me, right? And so what Angela's talking about here is really important because, we need to be liberated. First, we need to identify and that's what she's going to do here. She's going to identify the signs that you were in a toxic relationship because
Exactly.
that toxicity that was transferred to you, you will transfer it to others unless we get a handle on it and become aware of what it is, put it in the spotlight and expose it, and then we can work on it, correcting it.
Exactly. So as I put it out there that the question when I put this post out yesterday, and it was, did our religions have something to do with the reason that our parents, because mainly we're going to talk about parents first, and then we're going to talk about the way that our religions were in the same spot as our parents were. And then it all of a sudden it hit me, our parents grew up in these dysfunctional ways of looking at things because of religion a lot of the time. So did Jehovah's Witnesses, the governing body, teach us things, our parents, things that cause them to be toxic parents? Same in Worldwide Church of God. Are they at fault? Um, Dan made a point to me that when I asked that question, and he said, probably they were drawn to the religion that they were if they weren't if they weren't born into it. They were drawn to it because they had certain lack and weaknesses within themselves, like low self-esteem, for example, and they drew like a magnet to somebody who's going to kind of emulate what they already kind of were being taught or their parents were taught, and all the way down the line, many years, many generations past. It's just a carried on way of being. So they're naturally gravitating towards people and groups and churches and workplaces and mates that are acting in the same way. So they're dysfunctional. A lot of times they're codependent. A lot of us don't even know what codependency is. I didn't. And like I've shared with you before on here, that it's something that life falls apart. You start asking questions, then you start finding out what these things are. And then at praying, all of a sudden you find out, I need to find out about this codependency. And then they talk about it at 12-step groups. Oh, here we go. And oh, there's a book about it, Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. Oh, that's disturbing reading now. I'll go, oh my God, my head's spinning. I was really in a bad toxic family. These are the kind of things that starts happening. And so we're going to go over, this is part 2, as you can see, part 2, but we're going to go over the next last remaining issues. And then I'm going to repeat real quickly the last ones when I get all done. And maybe just kind of fill in some blanks and try to help so that you can rise above it. That's the important part here. It's like, it's one thing to know it, but it's another thing about knowing how to rise above it. So I'm trying to bring that into the whole thing too, not just that we're dumping information on you, but that you can feel a sense of that, okay, I can do this. I can rise above this, you know? I really believe that anybody can, without any exception, no matter what you've ever done. I really do believe that you can overcome this.
That's
Dan
really good.
we both overcome a lot.
Yeah.
And so here we go. So we're on number 12 of the 18 that we're going over. And and Grace is with us for a little bit, and then she's going to have to go to an appointment.
Or she's just going to listen.
She's just going to listen in. So we do have a guest. And so anyway, thank you for joining us, Grace. And like I said, listen in as long as you feel comfortable. So number 12, feeling controlled and manipulated. So I'm going to just read the paragraph. So manipulation and control are key tools used by toxic parents because they feel that they cannot get their own needs met, at least met directly and in a proper and a healthy way. They'll often get their own needs met by manipulating their children to give them what they're looking for. So what were they missing? Well, I'm just going to tell you, they were missing self-esteem and self-worth. A lot of times, I hate to say it, but religions teach us that we're not worthy, that we're bad. And so we tend to maybe go there and pick on people that are lower than us. And it's kind of a human nature thing. But I would suspect that the people that I know who've been this way were manipulated themselves by religion. And so they end up doing this to their children. So you have any thoughts on that at all? Dan,
No,
or
no,
Okay,
sounds good.
All right. So I had some notes that I made about it. So bullies controlling people. So they're basically bullies who are controlling people who are stupid in their way of looking at the person or child, because they can't get their self-worth. Like I said, they're like bullies trying to flex their muscles, controlling what they can, something lesser or weaker than them. See, that's how it works, that they have to find somebody that they could pick on, right? Because they feel so low. They have to pick on what they can.
Yeah, they won't
And
pick on the guy with self-esteem that says, I won't let anybody hit me. You know, in fact, I've got a little baseball, an equalizer, should that big bully hit me,
Yeah.
but they won't pick on a guy like me.
No.
Like Angela says, they go to the littlest one and they test him, they thump him in the head or they push him and then they see he's scared and then they feed off that fear.
Yeah, right. Right. Even people who are doing these sexual things where there's this, what do they call it? The pedophilia. They're picking on something weaker than them because they're
Intimidating them, scaring them.
right, and controlling them and making them keep the secrets. I mean, they're having a game. It's a sick kind of a game of it to control what they can, and lord it over them. You know, but again, people that are weaker than them, younger than them, a lot of the time younger. That's why they're it's why it's pedophilia. Maybe pretending to be highly educated, but they can't even run their own company. But see, you don't see that. You've been bullied. Maybe you were already weaker than them. They knew that. That's why they picked on you. And they start like acting like they're the authority. And so you trust it. They must know better than you. They're smarter than you. They appear to be. They talk loud. They cut you down. They make you know that you're lesser than them. And you just kind of kowtow to it. You don't stand up to it. And so anyway, they're just truthfully, they're being dishonest. They're not who they say they are. They're just making you feel that that's the truth.
Yep.
so that you'll obey them and follow them and do what they say and not tell their secrets, right? So one of the secrets would be, if they found out who I really was, people in this world won't like me. And so I can't dare let this person ever get ahead of me at any point, because they might tell my secrets. So they just keep bringing you down, bringing you down. It never ends, you know? They're afraid to be exposed. Yeah, for who they really are. I already said that. So I know somebody in my life, somebody very near and dear to me, who doesn't want me to find out what they have been up to, what they have said about me. And so they are not going to let it be found out. So they have to continue lying and withholding, and not allowing things to unfold naturally, because they can't dare.
Say, I lied. I
Yeah,
made up some stuff.
no, can't go
Yeah.
there. Cannot go there. So it ends up to be dysfunctional. So for me, I have to say, eventually I had to say goodbye to that relationship, because it's so toxic. It was consistently bringing me down because of what they were having to do to cover their lies. And very unfortunate, but I can't allow myself to be brought down
Yeah.
to a nothingness by the degrading that has to happen for them to have their lives covered up.
Yeah, you have to continue to go along with the game that
Yeah,
they're playing with themselves.
right.
So this
Yeah,
person was playing a game with themselves, and then either you go along with the game and enable them, they call that enabling, yeah, where you allow them to keep doing what they're doing, keep lying, or you say, maybe we'll come back and visit this relationship another time. And which is what you have to do, because, like I said, her feelings get hurt, or her feelings get hurt, and each are under this tremendous pressure. So sometimes it's better just to walk away, because most people can't be honest. Most people can't say or admit, hey, I was wrong, or I did this, or I stole something from you, or I'm actually the one who run into your car and didn't tell you, or
or
whatever it is.
I was feeling really bad about myself at that time. So to get a little bit of attention, I lied and I said this and that about you so that I would get some attention and love that I needed. So that's understandable, right? But then the pain of having to admit the truth is too much, and they just keep that lie going, and it gets pretty
Yeah.
dysfunctional. It's really painful. It's painful for everybody involved, because now that person doesn't have you in their life and they really need you, right? But anyway, it's really it's one of those things in life that we just have to learn how to deal with it. So so another thing is to keep us feeling stupid and feeling dumb. Not that we are, nobody is. I do not believe that for a minute. Now, people may appear to be stupid. They may talk like they're stupid because their self-esteem is so low that it just kind of comes out sounding stupid. But nobody, God doesn't make junk. Nobody is stupid. But a lot of times we've been made to feel that way. And it's just so that that other person can have the control. It's crazy, but just talking about this, I feel a little bit traumatized. And this is a little bit, I have to admit it, it's a little bit painful for me to be talking about some of these things today. I'm literally in a little bit of a feeling of trauma. So if my voice is a little bit weak, I apologize. I'm having a little bit of a hard time with some of this. So hopefully Dan will help me get
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm special right now. To talk to my scared little inner self of me and say it's everything's fine, everything's fine. So I have someone another person in my family actually, who they need self-esteem. And so what they do to kind of build themselves up is they give money. Now you got the same one I do. They give money away, a lot of it, so that people will love them and adore them. So it is a sense of manipulate. It's a way of manipulating and controlling, because they have money and so they control you with their money. So that can be a really dysfunctional way of getting your needs met, because of your sense of not feeling good enough, or your self-esteem being lower than it should be. So you use money as a way to get what you need, and be honored, respected. They control your every move, everything you do. It can be really dysfunctional. Um, let's see what else. There's another person I know, who they have a daughter that their self-esteem was so low that they control that daughter to the nth degree, so that they really truthfully, we'll talk about it in a minute, but that person can't even function. But again, it's because of the low self-esteem. They're controlling what they can, And so anyway, it's one of those things. Manage to see and expose it, so they don't want to be exposed. Once again, they don't want to be exposed. So let's talk about this from a religious context. Okay, let's say that this is not a parent this time. It's our spiritual leaders. And what has happened? So I'm just going to go down, like let's just look at the Jehovah's Witnesses governing body. Let's look at Herbert W. Armstrong. What happened there? So I want to just be honest. Look, if we're honest with ourselves and we do the research, we'll realize that these men are self-appointed. They weren't taken by some man that was a godly person that everyone agrees is godly, and then they anointed this person, and then this person grew in stature and like Jesus grew and in favor with God and men and grew in knowledge and understanding. No, they were self-appointed men saying that they had heard from God and blah 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 blah. Same with Herbert W. Armstrong, same exact thing, self-appointed. And matter of fact, they in certain avenues, and Herbert W. Armstrong was rejected for various ways that he was conducting himself in ways that he believed. I would suspect it's the same in the JWs as well, that they were not above board in the way that they were being in their lives when they started this whole thing. In fact, it was really amazingly awful. If we were really honest, go read Crisis of Conscience by what's his name? By
Ray France.
Ray France. And you'll see what I mean. It was not above board as when it started. It was corrupt to begin with. So we have to, first of all, we've got to admit that that's the truth. And so now Herbert W. Armstrong, he had, in my opinion, a low self-esteem. He's trying to make a name for himself. The JWs, the same kind of thing. They're trying to become somebody that they're really not. And so they've got to look important. So what do? They dressed in my church, they dressed in black suits, always black, white shirts, and that represented authority. So they used that as a power tool, a manipulating tool to seem important, to look rich, to look educated. He happened to be really good, Herbert W. Armstrong, in speaking. He was a radio broadcaster. He was always on the radio, so he knew how to present himself. So he could seem an authority. Same with JWs. They used that avenue of printing and speaking.
Suit and ties.
And the suit and ties and the whole thing to seem important and above everyone else and have a loud voice. Herbert W. Armstrong was very loud in his presentation, and he uses, and it's just wrong. He do this thing like the whole
The voice of God. The voice of God.
The voice of God, like scare the crap out of you. It's like he must know, he's the father figure, and I didn't have a father growing up, and so he seems like he knows what's going on here. He must know that the world's going to end and we're going towards Armageddon. We need to whatever. And he's like, okay, I'm listening, and you were raised with that. See, you were predisposed to be attracted to that. It's weird, but this is the real truth. We have to be honest with ourselves and say, these people were not really anybody. They made themselves out to be. And then they got money. Ooh, guess what? It doesn't take much money to get people to give 10% of their income, which is what Herbert W. Armstrong did, to have a lot of money fast. And then guess what? You can buy fancy cars, you can buy houses, you can get anything you want, you can buy campuses, you can buy property, and now everyone's going to really think you're something. God's blessed me, and so then you obey all the more. You've got to be blessed by God. They look at all he's got. He's more important than us. Wow, look at this fancy car he got. Look at this, that, the other thing. And then we're really sucked in. That's the truth. Do you think of any other?
No, that sounds good. That's exactly right. And they have status now. They have the cars, they have status, they have the look. And you think, well, they're blessed. God's blessing them. You know what I mean? So you just follow. But like Angela said, it can become very toxic because a lot of times they're promoting fear of God. They don't fear God, but they're promoting fear of God. You know what I mean? They're doing what they want, but they're projecting a very toxic, abusive, narcissistic way of being. And so that is having an effect on you. When you're under a narcissist, you say, boy, that's scary. Boy, that's mean. Boy, he sounds like he's making us sound less than. Like in the Witnesses, they say you're good for nothing slaves.
Yeah, I
Can you imagine? And you think, okay, yeah, I'm a good for nothing slave. Good comment, Dan. And so we don't realize how these things are affecting us. And it's weird, but like Angela said, we wake up and we say, who the hell says I was a good for nothing slave? Who are these people that says they're anointed and they're connected to God more than me? And why did I listen to that? And it can have a terrible effect on
Oh
us.
yeah, and just to add to what I was saying to you about, okay, so he gets a car, he gets a home, he gets more fancy suits, and you're really listening now. And all of a sudden now he's got double the money he had the month before because he took 10% from everyone, telling everyone that you must give 10% according to the Bible. Next thing you know, he's buying a campus, a college campus, doing an unaccredited college. And now you really think he's something. And now you know he's a god. He's a god at this point. You'll do anything he says, anything. He'll break up your family because you broke the law. It says right here, you must not divorce, and you divorce, so you've got to leave that wife you're married to because you're committing adultery because you were married once before and you weren't illegally allowed to be brought, leave her, and so you must not be married again. So you have to break up this family of yours with 4 kids, and you have to do. You can't be married. You got to figure it out with that other previous wife or something. I mean, again, like I said before, it doesn't matter that that guy knew that his wife cheated on him, but she would never admit it. So he went on, but there's no proof. And so, breaking up families because you trusted in this authority figure that had ability to manipulate you and control you, and you kowtowed to it. We have to be honest about these things. Who is he? He puts on his pants the same way we do. And he has the same problems, weaknesses we do. That was proven later on in his court case when he got divorced from his second wife. She divorced him, and it came out about his pedophilia. He's not better than us. Again, and the Bible says that we are not to put any man above us, and to not put your trust not in mortals,
Yep.
men, nor
No
in the
salvation belongs.
nor in earthly men, in whom no salvation belongs, as Dan just said.
We do it all the time.
Why? We're disobeying the Bible of God by doing this. See, so it's really messed up. Okay, so do you think we've said enough about? So they have low self-esteem, guys, and they're lording it over us because they're thinking that we're weaker than them. They somehow drew us being weaker than them, and then they lord it over us. So, okay, so the number 13. Did your parents? We're going back to the parents now, not religion now. Parents, did they crave approval from others? Do you crave approval from others? Because this actually results in your parents being that way, will then result in you being this way as well. So studies have shown that too little of validation in your childhood leads to a greater need for approval in your adulthood. So do you have that problem? Did you get validated when you were a kid? So what does that even mean, getting validated? So let's just say that you, I don't know, you had a really bad day at school and you came home from school, first grade, and you told your mom and your dad all these horrible things that went on, and they just said, oh, get over it. That would be a not being validated. Let's just say that you had hurt feelings and you started crying because mom was yelling at you, and you just felt so like crushed, and like you disappointed her, and oh my God, she doesn't love me anymore, and you're feeling this sense of, I don't know, that just feels terrible,
Angry.
and you're crying, and then what do they say? Stop crying, just stop it. And okay, so your feelings are not validated. Your feeling is that I hurt you, mom, and I don't think you love me anymore, mom, and or dad or whatever, dad. And I need you to hug me right now. I need to know that you do still love me. And they don't. They say, "Oh, stop crying. Just stop it." And that's not validating. Very painful. Because it's like your feelings don't matter and you don't get anything straightened out. But this happens all the time. Very painful. Okay, so here's another one. If your parents fail to give you the attention and praise you needed and deserved, you may have lived and grown up in a toxic household. So again, were you given attention? Were you given praise for the things that you did good and right? So let's say you made something really cool at school or as a little child, and you brought it to mom and you said, Mom, look at this that I made. I made this for you. Go away. I'm busy right now. Don't you see I'm talking on the phone? Right? This kind of thing. they maybe praise you. Oh, honey, that's a beautiful, beautiful picture. You're a really good artist. Wow, I love the use of colors in that, or something positive, right? But no, they don't do that. They just simply don't care about it. They don't say anything about it. They just ignore you. So you were not given the praise as a child. Or let's say that you did good in school and you got a good report card. Mom, look, look, look. I got an A. I got a whole bunch of A's. And again, oh, well, whatever. I mean, you got a B. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's that right there? A C. Oh, what in the world? What were you doing? What were you thinking? How'd you get a C in math? What the heck? I worked so hard with you. Oh, brother, you could do better than that. You should have gotten straight A's. I know somebody this happened to. I expected their kid to get straight A's, and if they didn't, that was not good enough. And what I realized in that situation was that parent was living vicariously through that child as if they were that child. So any imperfection was representative of their imperfection. And they had to have that child be perfect because they needed to somehow feel perfect through their child. It's really messed up. But we
A
need
lot of families do that.
yes, but we need to be validated. We need to be praised. We need to be made to feel that we're allowed to have some attention. But in our church, and now let's go to the religious aspect of it now. Let's go to religion now. Let's talk about that. In our churches growing up, we're told that pride or being important or made to feel good or praised or given thanks is somehow going to make us sin.
Praise before a fall.
Right. So in my household, my toxic household, I was taught that you don't need praise. You don't need thanks. That's just going to puff your head up and make you have a big head. And so that was very rare that you got a praise for anything.
Yeah, beware you're standing that you do not fall. That's what they said. Beware you're standing. So the minute you get a minute amount of self-esteem, they tell you that's ego. That's you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall
That's
flat in
it.
your face. So kids never develop any self-esteem. And if you don't have any self-esteem, you don't do very well in life. You have to have a sense of self, a sense of I have a purpose. I have there's a reason I'm here. But if somebody always smacks you down, like Angela says, say you have artwork and somebody says, "Oh, that's not that good," or yeah, or like Dale Carnegie says, give a dog a good name.
Mm.
Like if a baby draws a picture and he scribbles, you go, "Oh, that's beautiful," because you're trying to encourage them to continue to do it. Then he gets a little better and he stays in between the lines, and you go, "Oh, you stayed in between the lines. That's so beautiful." And then he uses a little bit, different colors when he's drawing, and you go, wow, you mix the colors together. Wow, you got some ability there, some natural ability. And see, you're building them up. But in the churches, they don't want you built up. They want you as slaves. They want you as followers. They want you to follow the pastor. They want you to follow the leadership. You are not anointed. You're the ones who sit in the seats. You're the sheep that need to be led. You're the lost sheep. And so we're the
And the stupid
guides
sheep,
and the
too.
stupid
Stupid
sheep. Like Stephen Lett says, you're the stupid sheep that are lost and wandering around, and we turn you in the right direction and give you a pat on the butt and say, go that way. So,
And when the prodigal son went off and on his little journey, when he came back, he was in the real story. In the real story, he was loved on and restored to the family estate with a ring that meant he could sign documents and seal them with the wax. And he had a robe and given esteem again as part of this family, just as you were before. But in our religions, oh, no, 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 no. It was, you bad boy, you should have never ever left in the first place. This is
and
what
that's
they
and that's the
make
other
it.
son, right? So you can imagine how toxic that was.
Mhm.
Jealousy. He went out, he squandered his money, Dad. Now you give him it all back again. I'm not going to the party. I will not associate with him. You can imagine how toxic that is. And that's
Oh
in
man.
families, a lot of jealousy,
Well, that's
sibling rivalry in families.
sounds like you guys in the JWs when somebody does anything that they consider out of the what we don't like, anything, it doesn't matter what it is. You're out and then no one talks to you. It's like the prodigal son, right? When they come back, they try to come back. No, we won't talk to you. You have to sit in the back of the hall for 2 to 10 years and have show that you're repentant. Just be beaten down to nothingness until there's nothing left of you. You're a bug in a rug, and if we step on you, you will cease to exist, kind of thing, because you were bad. And you guys, how do you function in the world like this? You've got to have people say, wow, like we had a girl come over the other day and she had this beautiful, beautiful painting that she made. She sang a beautiful song. But, sometimes parents who are also there don't want to say, wow, that's incredible. What a beautiful painting that you did. Or when the person who received the painting says, oh, I love this. This is absolutely stunning. You did this? Oh my gosh. And then that parent being right there doesn't say, yeah, isn't she amazing? No, they don't. And a lot of times it's because the way we were raised, with that we were taught in our religions of origin that that is wrong. And so they won't back that up. And sometimes that can be crushing for the kid because they just want their parent to be proud of them. They want them to say, good job. And does that not make you feel good inside, like you have value? And so anyway, and you'll do more of it too. You'll be even a greater painter than you ever could have dreamed because you were supported, you were loved. And so if you didn't get that when you were growing up, very possibly you lived in a toxic household. That's a toxic thing there. Just be honest about it. That's not normal. And you should say to your child, good job, very good job. If your child did something kind to the next door neighbor, you went and they went and helped them with picking up some things that they dropped on the ground when they were getting out of the car. And you saw that and you say, good job, Johnny. I'm really proud of you, honey. That was really thoughtful of you. See, that's a compliment. And that is a praise. It's praise for good behavior. Or good job. That was really hard for you to tell me the truth right there. I could just tell you were wrestling inside. You wanted to tell me, no, I didn't do that. But you did the right thing. You told me the truth. And for that reason, I'm not going to give you a correction for that because you were honest. I mean, you're amazing. And I honor you for being able to be truthful with me. So even though you did that, I'm not going to do anything because I'm going to give you a reward because you told the truth. I'm just saying. It's just a good example, but that's a way of praising them for being honest. What a good thing to praise them for. You know what I mean? So anyway, a lot of times in our families of dysfunction, we don't get that. So just know that that's not okay. So then what happens is there's a craving for approval. That's what this whole thing's about. Craving approval now from others. Get it? From others, because we all have a need to be loved. We all have a need to feel important, to feel special, to feel of value somehow. And so we end up craving approval from others because we didn't get it from our family, our family of origin. So this is interesting,
Yeah,
maybe that's why you got that gift from that person yesterday, Dan, because they were craving some approval,
yeah.
and they know
I
that
gave it to
and you
them.
gave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of
Which
interesting.
she probably couldn't have got from her mother because
Maybe
her
not.
mother was jealous,
Mhm.
So I said, oh, that would touch my heart. And it
Oh,
did.
it
And
did.
it was special. And she took time to paint it
And
so
she'd
that
say,
somebody would say, that's wonderful and that's beautiful and that's
oh man.
amazing. And then she wanted to sing a song and we let her sing a song and we
And then
said,
our
oh,
daughter
you got
cried.
a beautiful voice and that's amazing. And so
Amazing.
anyway,
Yeah.
everyone, I just want to say, as we get healthy, we got to keep in mind that everybody is our children, not just our children, So that girl that doesn't have the mother that's capable of giving that sort of love and support and admiration and building her up, because of some toxicity and anger and whatever's going on, we can give it. And we're supposed to give it. We're supposed to share that our lovingness, our kindness, our thankfulness, our joyfulness. And so we are surrogate parents to these people that don't have parents. If we see somebody that's dysfunctional, like when we see that girl over there, sometimes she's working real hard and she's sawing logs and she's doing things. We'll go get her a pizza and just drop off pizza and say, "You're doing a really good job over here. This really looks
You guys
nice."
are working your butts off.
Yeah, God, man, you guys are, man. Can you guys handle that? Do you need a hand? No, we're good. We're good. Okay. And yeah, that's what we're called to be. The healthier are to come in, and I say healthier. I just mean that we've sorted some of these things out. Not that we're better, but that we have something to give now. And so that's what we want to do.
I love that, Dan. I love the reminder that, uh, unfortunately, this happens to so many of us in these toxic religions. We lose our family, right? So, I lost my kids, but it's precious to me when I feel like God like let me know in a very powerful way that he was not really liking it, that I was praying only for my own children, weeping, crying, moaning, groaning day after day for him to help my kids to see the real reality, the truth, what was going on here, since God had shown me, and I wanted them to be free as well, but they weren't going for it, and so I lost them. And so God let me know that I don't like it that you're only praying for your own kids. In a way inside of me, I knew that he was not, I could feel it. And then all of a sudden the thought comes that God has many children and that they're all special to me, not just your kids, but all kids. And so, would you know, I ended up getting a job at a jail teaching life skills. And that wasn't long after. And all of a sudden, the women are saying to me, Angela, I happen to meet the mothers of some of the kids in there. She says, Angela, you're being like a surrogate mother to my children. That you're being there, and I can't be there, but you're there in my stead. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the very thing I asked God to do for my kids. Please bring a parent like me alongside them, since I can't be there, and to take my place. I trust that you will take care of this because they need a mom. And I sure enough found out that my children, well, one in particular, absolutely had that going on. She was probably maybe even better than I could have done. So quite amazing. But every kid is special. Every kid is as important to God as any other kid, no matter what they've done. If they're the prodigal son on their journey and they've not begun their trek back, guess what? That parent still loves that kid. My kids, I feel like they're on a little bit of a prodigal son journey, but I don't love them any less. They got to get it out of their system, I guess. They got to get through the lesson of this. And anyway. And guys, I'm just gonna be real honest with you. I do I believe I'm a Christian, but I'm out of the box. And one of the things that's very important for me that I want to share with you that I believe, and that's that I feel that we live multiple lives at the same time. I feel like that we have lessons we're learning in each of them. We're not aware of the other ones, but we're learning lessons in each of them. And why is that important? I'll tell you why it's important to know this. And I've discovered it because of researching and really seeking out to know the answer to that. And I've heard so many near-death experiences now that I really truly believe that this is the truth. But if you knew that, then if this life is messed up, or your children's lives are messed up because of choices of other people that brought it about, look, they're going to learn the lessons. This is my way. This is the beautiful part about it. They'll learn many, many lessons in this particular, of the different ones. They're going to learn lessons, and then they may go away early in your life, but then, they're going to be in another one, and you'll probably be in their life in that one too. And in each life is a lesson. So they're learning the lessons. So if we just let them, instead of feeling, I've only got so many years left and I'm going to die soon and I got to get involved, and you're forcing it. You're forcing it, and you're pushing, and you're trying to play God in their lives, and it doesn't work. But if you knew that there were other lives that you're living simultaneously as this one, or whatever you want to believe about it, that then that everything's okay, just as it is. You don't have to be in control. You don't have to play God in their lives and demand and all these kind of things. Take a breath and know that God is, and that God is in control, and he knows what he's doing. It says in the Bible that every day was ordained and written in God's book before one of them ever came to be. It says that in the Psalms. And so, is he lying? Are we going to call him a liar? He doesn't know. Well, then why is this crappy stuff going on in my life, their life? Why? Because we're here to learn, to grow, to have ourselves fine-tuned like gold. And beauty comes from these ashes. So that's why it's important. If you don't want to believe that, I don't care. But to me, it helped me immensely because I don't have to be so sad and depressed about all of this. They're learning lessons. Yay. I'm learning lessons. Yay for me. We're all learning.
We're all learning.
Yeah. So hopefully you're not offended that I had to bring that up, but I felt it was important because this is painful stuff we're talking about here. Just trusting your own judgment. So toxic parents often gaslight their children by invalidating their feelings and experiences, which we kind of just talked about.
Yep.
But As a result, these children learn that they cannot trust their own sense of judgment in their decision-making abilities. So that's where that's where it becomes dysfunctional. Um, if you're like, for example, in my life, my mom would say that what I saw or felt in these certain situations with people where it was wrong, 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 wrong. I'm always wrong. How you think is wrong. How you felt about it is wrong. Your judgment is wrong. You don't see clearly. You manipulate things. You twist things. You don't see them right. I heard all of it, and all my life too. And then what did that produce? What? Just guess. What do you think that produced? I don't trust myself. I don't trust my judgment. I don't trust what I think. I think I must be stupid compared to everybody else. I don't have a right kind of brain. It doesn't see things clearly. This is the kind of thing that it produces. Thanks be to God that I got to meet Dan, who began to validate what I was seeing and saying. And he'd say, "Yeah, yeah, that's right, Angela." I'm like, "Really? You think that I saw that right?" Absolutely. And again, this happened to me, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I actually have a gifting from God in this direction." And it was being squashed down by my mom. And now, how come that happens? So I'm just going to go on the point of religion now, who cause us to be distrusting of our own judgment. In the Jehovah's Witnesses, let's just go there first. They say that if you do anything wrong whatsoever, if you speak against what we say, if you question what we're doing, then that was wrong. You're wrong, wrong, wrong. And you better watch out, or you're going to be kicked out of this church or out of this organization. Same thing in my religion, same thing. You don't do exactly what you're told. You don't keep the Sabbath day. You don't pay your 10% tithe. You don't keep the holy days properly. Watch out, because that's, lack of good judgment. You shouldn't be, you shouldn't, you shouldn't, you shouldn't, you shouldn't. You should, all those kind of things. Until the point that, you don't trust yourself anymore. And you don't trust that it's best for you. They know it's best for you. And you kowtow to it because you become afraid. Their loud voice, their way of speaking, they're threatening that you're going to be not a part of this family anymore. You'll be left out in the cold. And you just, okay, I'm not going to think anymore. I don't trust my own judgment. I'm always wrong. This is going to get me in trouble. And you shut down and you don't trust yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you never get a chance to think. They don't want you to think. I mean, that's what the whole thing of the church is. They go to seminary. They are specially chosen by God, to teach. They were put through the school, the academia or watchtower, right?
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to think. So you don't think.
And,
you just
and gaslighting, the gaslight.
Yeah. Yep. I think we went over
Yeah,
that.
but that's the whole thing about why you don't trust yourself, because they made your brain so twisted up with their reality, their truth, their dysfunction, their lies, and you just trusted their lies.
Right.
Gaslighting the truth, right?
Yep.
That's what they were doing. So they might use words like, "Well, clearly this is the truth." And then and that wording, we just learned this last night on Six Screens, this lady talking about them using these certain kind of phrases. Clearly it's the truth. And you just have the sense of that they know and you don't, and that you're stupid.
Yeah.
And that's, it's the wording that manipulates you just by the wording. Very interesting. It's a weird kind of way of gaslighting.
You don't believe differently than that, do you?
Ooh, there's a good one.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Intimidation kind of way of saying it. Well, you're a Christian, aren't you? Well, you're Jehovah's Witness. You haven't left the truth, have you? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, clearly that's the truth. You know that, right? This kind of thing. Really messing with your head. So then you just back down, right? You kowtow to it. They're coming across as the authority, and that you're lesser than them because of the way that they talk, the way they use words in certain ways. It's very, very clever. Number 15, finding yourself easily trapped in codependent relationships. So let me read the rest. If you frequently find yourself in unhealthy codependent relationships in your life, that would be a sign that you grew up in a toxic codependent family. If it seems like one of your family members held all the power and got all of the attention, while other family members bowed down to their every need, no matter how unhealthy, then you may have grown up in a toxic family household. So they talk about the family cycle. It's like they draw a wheel, and this is the family unit, okay? And in the spoke of a wheel is every family member, and they all are operating in different ways to make this sixth cycle of way of being in the family work. And so there's a scapegoat, and then there's the person who's got all the power and the control, and everybody's I can't remember all the ways, but there's different ways that everybody functions to make this sixth cycle work, so that everyone's on the codependent, unhealthy way of being in the relationships work. If one person says, I don't want to be in this anymore, and they say, I'm not gonna obey all your rules, your secret, no one talks about them. They're unhealthy rules that we all have to live by in this family. And they say, I don't want to do this anymore, and they leave, then all of a sudden everybody's like, man, they're on them like fly. But you must obey. You must come back. You must be the same kind of person you always were, and be in the same position, a scapegoat in his family, because we have to have that person to make this whole thing work. And if you don't do what we say, then we're going to shun you. We're not going to let you be in this family anymore. And oh, they mean business. It is cruel and it's heartless. It's very, very powerful, and it really, really works. But a lot of the time, there's a one person in the family who gets all the attention. Everybody bow down to whatever they say, because mom and dad, for whatever reason, who knows why they chose that child, but that child got all the praise. Nobody else got it. They got to do whatever they wanted. One time, a family that I knew of, that this one person that was in the family in this position had a boyfriend, and she was young, and his boyfriend wanted $10,000 because he had this incredible investment. And so the parent said yes to the one child. All the other children, they had lots of children. Only this one child got anything and everything that they wanted. And then everybody had to bow down to her, like she was just so important, more important than everyone else for unknown reasons. But everyone just feels like so demoralized, like, wow, I mean, they'll do anything for this kid. And so that's a sign that you lived in a toxic, codependent, sick cycle, codependent family. And it's just one of the, you'll have to study up on the codependent family, but it's interesting. I ended up being the scapegoat in the end of it, and the roles can switch. You can be a leader for a while, but then I don't know, for whatever reason, somebody else takes over the role of the super important one, and then all of a sudden you become. So in the end of mine, I was a scapegoat, and the one picked on, the one being. It's like you got to have that person, right? So anyway, it's just one of the signs, and you're easily so. Here's what's unfortunate. In the codependency, then you end up being in relationships at work, at church, everywhere you go. You have this, this. You tend to go fall and prey and entrapped in the same kind of sick cycle relationships everywhere you go. So that's why it behooves us to learn about what is codependency, so that we know what's another way of being in life. Like, for example, if you're used to always being that person that kowtows in the family, okay, and then the other older one gets whatever that they want, and they're the special one, and you're not, you're nobody. Then first of all, your self-esteem is really low, and then you're going to be attracted to husbands or mates or churches that are going to keep you in that position of being lesser than and weak, and you're drawn to it everywhere you go. So if you don't learn how to get your voice, so that's one of the things you have to learn when you learn about codependency tools, is getting your voice. And you have to learn how to use your voice, how to start speaking out for yourself, saying what it is you feel, whether they want to hear it or they don't, how to stand up for yourself, to get things turned around so that you feel good again, so that you feel that you are of value in this world. Because if you don't, you will never amount to much of anything, because you don't think you're anything. And so you don't work on that art skill. You don't work on speaking, at all. You don't do much of anything because you feel like you're so little.
Give up. You can just give up.
You give up.
We know people around here, they just given up. They've been so beaten down, they never find out who they are or what their purpose is, and they just stop.
Yeah. Like this person that gave Danny's gifts and sang this song to him yesterday for his birthday. It was yesterday. It's a very important birthday. Should I say what?
Yeah.
65 years old, 65. And so we called to say, man, wow. Again, we so loved having you here. And thank you for that beautiful song. My God, you have a beautiful voice. And that picture, it blew me away. I did not know that you had that kind of artistic talent. we wanted to have her know that so we could have the opportunity to praise her. But guess what? Not going to answer the phone and not going to answer the text. Don't want to hear it. It's like already beating themselves up already. I don't know why, but they just, I don't know. It's hard because you start feeling so low down on yourself that you won't even accept compliments. You won't allow yourself to be built up. That's how bad it can get. But you do need to know that codependency is important to know if you want to get really, really well. So, and really find good, healthy relationships. Dan and I had to learn
Oh,
how to
yeah.
be in relationship, even with each other. But we studied and learned and
Yep.
put it into practice and helped each other, and we worked through it.
Yep.
There's always improvement. Okay. No one's ever all the way there. No way. So then the next one, 16, undervaluing or devaluing of your personal emotions. So codependent dysfunctional parents tend to make their children feel like their emotions and thoughts about things are unimportant or inconvenient. They often fail to listen to, acknowledge, and validate their children's feelings. So we did talk about that a little bit earlier, but so I don't want to go down that all the way. But inconvenient, let's just talk about the inconvenient. So here's how that would work in a toxic situation. So you come and you say, Mom, this thing that happened, and the dog got hurt, and da 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 da, and I just wanted to tell you, you might need to know about this. And they're like, just go away, I'm busy right now. It's like, this is just stupid. This is not a good time. I'm busy. I'm working. Or I don't know, your friend at school cut you down and made you feel really bad, and you came home from school and you're demoralized, and you just need to talk. You need to be held. You need to, you know, and then they say, can't you see I'm on the phone? Hello. And so they stop you short, and they don't allow you to have these emotions, these feelings, and then you feel hurt and you start crying because mom doesn't care, because mom is not going to listen to you, and you don't know what to do.
Remember they used to say children should be seen and not heard?
Yes, I do.
They used to be the way it was. Shut up. We're talking.
It's
And the kids felt totally unimportant.
right. You're undervalued. You're devalued in your personal emotions. You don't agree with the way that something's being dealt with in the family. You're sitting at the dinner table. Hardly anybody does that anymore, but back in the day when we did, we're all talking about something, and you don't like the way that everything's being dealt with at the family table. You think it's really mean, and you express that this really hurts you, and that this really bothers you, and you're kind of maybe even tearful about it, and you're expressing that I don't think this is right. You guys, this is wrong. And then they just say, oh, you're so stupid. You just don't, you have the dumbest ideas. Just shut up, something like that. See, that's devaluing your feelings. You feel that this is wrong, and they don't care. They just run right over you roughshod. Well, now let's use this in the context of religion. Our churches of origin. Did they value your feelings? Okay, so Dan went in there, as you've heard the story a million times, all of you probably, but he went in and said to these friends that he worked with and he'd known forever, you guys, oh my gosh, did we just pass up this 1975, the end of time prophecy? And they look at him like, oh my God, you just said the unpardonable sin words. And they went and ratted him off to the head people in Brooklyn, New York, and he promptly got a letter coming back saying that you are now on apostate watch, which means you're on the edge of being kicked out of this church for doing nothing at all, but just saying a question. You guys, did we pass up a prophecy? Could it be? Like, what do you think's going on here? That's all he's saying. They accused him of reading apostate literature, which he had not done. He simply wanted to know if all this thing I've been doing every day, preaching door to door, and every day faithfully, could we have something have gone wrong? This is really, really seriously, really messed up. I don't know what to do now. How am I going to go door to door now? Like somehow I feel like I'm lying when I'm going door to door now, and no, just, that's not a value. This is going to mess up our church. You're causing trouble. Your feelings do not matter. You have to obey no matter what. We don't care what you have to think, what you think. And the church is that way. They devalue your feelings. Can you say more about this?
No, that sounds good. That sounds good.
And same in my church, they don't care what your reasoning is and your opinions about why you don't think it's fair that you should pay 10% of everything that you earn, and second and third tithe, and every so many years you have to pay another third tithe, another 10%, 30% of your income on some years, and you don't think it's right, and you question it, and you're told that you're stupid, and they don't value your opinion because we have the law, and the law says this, and this is what we're to do, and there's a way that seems right to a man, Angela, but in the end is the way of death. So you better obey. I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter. I don't value your opinion or your feelings or why you think that way. It's not important. The important thing is the law, the law, the law, right?
Well, it's the same thing, as a child, as an adult, if you're a sheep, you're to be seen and not heard.
Right.
Give your tithes, come in, listen, shut up, and listen to whatever we tell you. And we're going to change it. We're going to be, like in Angela's religion, they were, what do they call it?
Messianic.
Yeah, Messianic. And then we're going Christian now. And everyone's like, oh my God, Christian, fundamentalist Christian, what are you talking about? Seen and not heard. Shut up. We're the boss. We're the leadership. And so it's the same in the witnesses. In fact, if you do ask them a question, which I did, I'm an apostate. If I have a free thought, I'm an apostate. You can't think in there. You can't. It's the same thing. It's toxic.
It is, and it's devaluing your opinion. And that's
you don't have an
toxic.
opinion in the witnesses. You have no opinion whatsoever. I always tell people, if you really believe you're praying to God and the Holy Spirit's talking to you, then go tell the governing body that and see if you're not throwing out on your head. Go tell them I had an original thought. Jesus said this to me, and they're going to go, uh-oh, yeah, you're gone. You're no longer a witness.
Wow.
I mean, that's total devaluation. That's totally, you are nothing.
It's
nothing.
also devaluing the fact that I believe every person has, the measure of faith. Every person has a Holy Spirit. And so it's devaluing my God connection entirely. What you have to say could never come from God, ever, because we're the only ones who hear from God. Oh my God, is that ever sick? These guys are so toxic. And there's so many religions like this, you guys. But you have wisdom from God. You have important things to say that are unique.
That's right.
Coming only from you to say, but see, they don't value that. You're devalued. You're not important. You are the stupid sheep. That's wrong. That is toxic. Okay, so then parents being emotionally unavailable, or parents being emotionally unavailable leading to isolation. So let's read that a little bit further. All children require love and attention. If your parents were emotionally unavailable, this can be extremely damaging to the child and their sense of value and worth and sense of having a voice, feeling heard and understood and valued by their parent. If it felt like your parents were never there when you needed them, or you turned to others for emotional support, it's highly probable that you grew up in a toxic family. So I think that's, pretty well said, but I think the important part there for me is when your parents are emotionally not there for you, and you tend to just say, okay, I'm not valued then. My feelings are not valued, and they don't care to hear what I have to say. So you isolate. You just become shy and introverted, and or you go seeking outside of the family for some emotional support of some kind because you can't get it at home because your parents are so involved in their own problems, their own fear of Jehovah, their own fear of the governing body, their own fear of everything known to mankind. They're not able to be there for you. And so it's not always entirely their fault, but and that's where mercy needs to be given, because they may not have been valued as children themselves, and their parents may have been emotionally unavailable. So when your parents are emotionally available, not unavailable, but available, then at any given time, you can call them up or go in the kitchen and talk to mom about something that's on your mind, and sharing your emotions, your feelings about something. And then they would validate you and talk to you and comfort you and give you peace and give you thoughts that they came up with, ideas, and help you to get through that. But some parents are so messed up, so scared of everything under the sun, so overburdened, like in the Jehovah's Witnesses, they had to go to a million gazillion meetings back in the day, not so much now. It's changed greatly. But Dan, what were all the meetings you had to do?
We had the book study, which was one day of the week where we studied the book, and then we went to the meeting to, share the thoughts in the book. Then we had the theocratic ministry school. That's where we went to the meeting to learn how to go door to door. And then we had other meetings in that meeting. I forget what all they were. There were two different meetings, 2 hours. Then we had the meeting for the Watchtower on Sunday. Then we had the meeting for field service on Saturday. So
And
it
then
was,
Sunday you went to church.
yeah, Sunday we went to church, and then we had to answer the Watchtower. We had to study the Watchtower Saturday night after field service Saturday morning. And we had to study Friday.
And if you didn't study it, then you would be in trouble.
Yeah, or you couldn't talk at the door. So when you went to the door Saturday, you had to be prepared for what you're going to say at current event, how it affected this, and how it related to Bible. And so Friday night you studied for Saturday morning, and then Saturday afternoon you studied for Sunday morning. Watch
Oh my
talk,
gosh.
and there was a public talk, and it was full weeks.
Okay, so guess what? They're so burdened by all of these activities and things that they've got to be responsible for, or they're going to get in trouble. Because, like, when you go to theocratic ministry school and you're
You're graded.
not giving a good talk, so they give talks. You have to be prepared to give a talk, different types of talks. And if you didn't do a good job, you were chastised and cut down and corrected and questioned. It's horrible. And so, can you imagine these parents having to go through this sort of thing, especially if you're not a sociable kind of person anyway, you're shy, and you have to be made to feel this way, that they couldn't possibly be available for anyone. They're scared for their own life. And so they're going to end up ignoring their children, not validating their feelings. Honey, we got to go. We got to get to field service. Later, this kind of thing. It's just going to
Be
be
a burden on the woman, the cooking, get the
oh,
kids ready,
yes.
get the meal ready for the husband when he gets home.
Having a job, probably, maybe even part-time, and who knows.
Oh my
So
God.
you guys, they couldn't be available. And sometimes the parents really could, if they weren't in a religion and they just were emotionally unavailable, then in that case, probably most likely they were brought up that way, or they became narcissistic, um, self-absorbed, just dysfunctional themselves. Usually when a parent's not able to be emotionally available for you, it's because they're going through a hard time, or because they don't feel good about themselves. Maybe they're being abused by their husband, by their parents, by their leaders in their church. There's reasons why they're emotionally unavailable. But unfortunately, then the children feel it kind of leads to an isolation for them. And they just, they hide out in their room, they don't function well in society. It becomes a habit, and they go to other people for their emotional support, if they do it all, or they just do drugs, this kind of thing, because they can't deal with it. Okay, the last one, 18, overbearing control, and lack of autonomy. Dan, what's autonomy? It just means everything flows smoothly, right?
Yep.
Everything naturally flows.
Right.
Autonomy. So, did you feel like you had no control over your life and were incapable of doing things for yourself growing up? So, this person that I actually talked about this person earlier, but there is somebody that we know, and their mother is so controlling and overbearing in their life that they do not feel that they could ever live on their own. They don't feel that they could do anything without being hooked at the hip with the mother, because this is the way that it's always been. And they've been made to feel like, you can't do anything without me and apart from me. Apart from me, you can do nothing. That kind of thing. And so they become extremely dependent. That was not by choice. It was by the way that their life was forced to be lived. And so now they have no sense of ability to believe in themselves, to be able to handle their own life. And so everything is being controlled. Really painful to have that. And
I know a lot of people like that, in my family too. I mean, I know kids that were, constantly told, you don't know how to think for yourself. That was a horrible decision you made. That was terrible. Oh my gosh, I got to do that for you again. And so as you do that, you're literally teaching dependency on you. And some parents want that. They want that dependency. And they don't even realize they're crippling their kids. And I've seen it close, even in my family. Jesus, oh my God, when will you learn? When will you get it right? Boy, you do the same thing over and over and over. How many, and like, oh my God, pretty soon you go,
Oh, yeah.
I'm nothing,
Ugh.
Yeah, you are nothing. You've been told this 20 times and oh, oh, you wear me out. You know, oh boy. One day, I hope you get it one day. And so, the,
Every
the,
day
the
this
boy
goes
just
on.
slunches over. He just goes, and that's it. Once you have that overbearing control, it just, they just keep controlling, and you just are like a piece of meat just being pushed around like this.
No, honey, it's just terrible.
And isn't that what it looks like?
Yes,
Just a piece of meat out in the yard, just being pushed and prodded. And
do this,
you
do
haven't
that.
got that done yet? Wow. I
Ca-
thought you'd have that done already.
Can't you do that right? My God, I've shown you a million times how to do that. This kind of thing. Just overbearing big time and not flowing right. Now, another time, toxic parents often seek to control every aspect of their children's lives, leaving them feeling powerless and out of control. So I'm going to use an example in my life anyway. I've used it before, but so I got at age 45, I got out of my toxic relationship with my ex, 24 years married to him. And I had to go live with my mother. And she's thinking, oh, yay, I'm going to get her back in the religion, the Worldwide Church of God. But of course, it wasn't called that at the time. It was the United Church of God. But she's so excited she's going to get me back in the truth, right? Back in the faith. And so what was I going to say? So controlling every aspect. So it was like I was really messed up at this time. I've been abused. I'm barely alive. She's nursing me back to health, which I was extremely grateful for. But all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is how you do this. This is how you eat. This is how you poop. How are your stools? This is when you do this. This is when you do that. It's like this is how you believe. That everything is controlled. Like you don't have your rights. You're in my home now. This is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to believe, and this is how this is the kind of relationship you're going to have. No, you can't date Dan. No, Dan is out of the picture. He doesn't have the right belief system. No, get Dan, please don't come back here again. I mean, controlling everything. I don't care what avenue of my life it was. you know it didn't really matter how I thought,
Mm.
how I dressed, what I believed. Everything is controlled. And that's toxic. That is not autonomy. That is not peace. That is not respecting my differentness. It's not. I said, Mom, I don't believe like you do anymore. I'm 45 years old. I have a different belief. I have for many years now. Please, I need you to respect my belief. And nope, she was not going to hear it. All of a sudden, she started to talk to Dan about it right next to me. I'm like, oh my God, I just asked you, right? I just asked you not to do that. And so I just stomped my way right out of the house and I didn't come back. Dan had to go find me because I wasn't going to tolerate it. Like, I'm an adult. I know that I'm traumatized. I know that I'm barely alive, but you're not going to just run roughshod over my way of being, thinking, believing, living, eating, pooping, everything. You're not controlling every aspect of my life. You're not doing that. And so that was very painful. And I did have to get out of there short order. I stayed 4 months, and then thanks be to God, Dan helped me, and I got my own little apartment, and my sister co-signed for me because I didn't have any credit, and I got started again. And I got to start making my own decisions again. But like I even wanted to decorate my room a little bit for Christmas because I started keeping Christmas. And of course, if you don't know this, Worldwide Church of God, they don't keep Christmas either, or any of Thanksgiving, yes, but not Christmas. So I wanted to decorate my room. Oh no, no, that's not going to happen, in my mom's house. So that was another thing. So I got out just in time to decorate my own little place for Christmas. Dan let me use his little
Yep.
tree. Anyway, you guys, that was the last thing. So I guess the final thought is that, did our religions of origin mess up our parents? So again, I think from the beginning we answered that the yes and no. They added to what probably was already the problem. If our parents grew up in there, then I would say they have a heavy duty influence on that our parents became toxic because they taught toxicity in the way that they believed. But if they came in late, then probably they were predisposed to come in. So I would say that it just depends. But as far as overcoming it, I just want to say that for me anyway, for me and Dan, I believe that you just pray and share out loud what you see wrong in your life. Just you let God know. I see that I'm doing this and I don't like it. I don't know what to do about it. I don't think it's right. I see other people not doing that, but I'm doing that. Please will you guide and lead? And then you don't know what's going to happen next, guys. That's the situation. You're going to be led to a certain radio program one time. You're going to be led to a class you need to go take. You maybe for you, you might read a book that's you're just put in your face and you somehow know in your heart, this is the book for me. Or you go to the bookstore and you see, oh, that's the one that I need to read that book. And you read it and everything begins to change. It doesn't happen overnight. This is not an overnight thing. What happened took years, and to get back out of it is going to take time. It can be quicker when you really give your all to it, a lot quicker. If you don't drag your feet, just stay on that class, stay on that book, ask for the next right thing to do to help overcome the next problem, and just keep asking and asking what more can I do to overcome this? Keep asking for it to be resolved, to be taken from you, to be, you know, made sense of, to forgive somebody. I don't know whatever is you feel. You have a Holy Spirit. It's guiding you, and it's never everything all at once. It's a little at a time, and so you have to be patient with the process, with yourself, with God, with the world. You know, so many things that you have to do. I even had to, for me, I had even had to forgive the world because it's so messed up. But see, you can't live with that hate and bitterness and dread of life. So I had to forgive the world because, you know, it doesn't know a better way right now, and everybody's doing the best they can. They've been brainwashed like we have in their own way. They're dysfunctional in their own way, and it's just it's messed up. But there's got to be some compassion. There's got to be some forgiveness. There's got to be some hope. There's got to be some prayers for all of that. You know, we're all in this thing together. So anyway, there's a lot to be learned, but I hope this helped. And Dan, what else would you recommend? I'd like to have you add to.
I just say keep in the back of your mind that, like Hawkins said, if they could do better, they would. Like Angela said, we've come out of abuse, we've come out of false religion, we've come out of toxic parents, and so we could be a bit toxic, you know, and so we're doing the best we can. But I think if we go at our healing from, if we can get to the point, not take it personal, that they did the best they could. We don't know if they've been raped, abused, what their fathers were like. I didn't know what my dad's father was like. I didn't know why he was so sad and depressed and mean and angry. And, but once I got older, I was like, he did the best he could. And my mom did the best he could. And so having that in the back of my mind, like Angela said, we can have grace on these people and grace on yourself. You've been abused. You've been in a toxic relationship. So
You might be toxic yourself at this point.
yeah, you could be angry. You could be projecting out. You could be doing the same thing, a little bit covert, a little bit controlling. You could have some of the same tendencies. So I think if we go at it from that point that, yeah, we're probably somewhat toxic ourselves and we're doing the best we can. And just allow yourself time, like Angela said, it takes time to heal. It takes time. It takes a lot of books, a lot of prayer, uh, meetings, groups, whatever it takes. Like Angela said, you pray, let the Holy Spirit lead you. It'll lead you to the next book, the next person, the next whatever you need, you'll be given.
That's right. And I did promise that I was going to read you the other ones that were from the previous show, real
Yep.
super quick. So I'm going to read.
It's on the last
Yeah.
YouTube if you want to see
Yes,
it.
you can re-see this whole talk of these first 11 points. Okay, so real quick, what they were was overreact. Did your parents overreact to everyday situations? Number 2, comparing your siblings or peers and pitting them against each other. Number 3, play the victim card and then gaslighting you. Personal boundaries not being respected, so not respecting your boundaries. Always need to be right. That parent always had to be right. You're always wrong, they're always right. Give only conditional love. And so not unconditional love, but you'll be loved in and if you do what I say exactly how I say. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to only be loved when you're doing exactly right. and am going to dish out ultimatums if you don't do exactly what I say. That's toxic. Then insist on conversations always being centered around them. Number 8, cause you to feel drained or tanked after interactions or conversations with them. Never or rarely took your feelings into account. Often make you feel bullied within the family relationship. Then the number 11, create constant competition amongst the siblings, which I think we kind of covered over the
Yeah.
time. Anyway, so that was the ones that you missed, and they've been gone over in the previous episode that was part 1 of this series of 18 questions. And by the way, too, I got this information off the internet and put it in my own words. And it was provided by Critical Financial. So I think what happened is companies sometimes will hire somebody to put something together that things is important and give it out to the public as like a charity, like a givingness. And so this company provided this talk or this bit of information, and I put it in my own words and I made it my own. And but that's where the information basically came from. I'm not a psychologist, a therapist, none of that. Dan and I are not, so know that. But this is where we got this information. So anyway, thank you for listening and joining us today.
Yes.
We love your comments, your questions, your feelings, your we will
If you have any
glad to
shows you'd
validate
like us to
you.
do, any things that you'd like to talk about,
Ooh,
we'd
yeah.
love to do it.
That would be wonderful, guys. So come on with us. Grace, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And again, everyone, have a lovely day and happy Father's Day to all you fathers. If you are not getting the love you needed and get validated for being a good father, well, I'm going to tell you what, I am sure you did the very best you could. Give yourself some grace and love on yourself. We know what, you're awesome and we love you
Yes.
and we're glad you're alive.
Yes, we
So
are.
keep it up and keep on it. Let's all keep on improving ourselves.
That's right.
All right.
All right. See
Lots
you
of
on the
love
next
to
one.
you.
All
Happy
right.
Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Bye.
Bye.